In our hyper-connected age, where silence has become suspicious and solitude feels like punishment, there exists a forgotten voice whispering a revolutionary truth. The crowd is untruth, and solitude is where we discover who we truly are. This voice belongs to Søren Kierkegaard, the melancholic Danish philosopher whose radical insights into authentic existence have never been more relevant. Born in Copenhagen in 1813, Kierkegaard lived most of his life as a solitary figure, rarely leaving Denmark, never marrying, dedicating himself to the most dangerous pursuit of all, thinking for oneself. His father, Michael Peterson Kierkegaard, was a deeply melancholic man whose defiant curse against God as a shepherd boy cast a profound shadow over the family. Kierkegaard called this the Great Earthquake, a crushing sense of divine retribution that marked his early existence. This inherited melancholy shaped the philosopher who would later be called the father of existentialism. Yet Kierkegaard's solitude was not a mere circumstance, but a deliberate philosophical stance and, ultimately, a pathway to authentic selfhood. He saw clearly what we are only beginning to understand today. The crowd does not create truth, it destroys it. Truth always rests with the minority, he wrote, and the minority is always stronger than the majority. Formed by a majority is illusory, formed by the gangs who have no opinion. When part of a crowd, whether a social media mob or a political rally, individual responsibility dissolves. The crowd offers comforting illusions that because everyone believes something, it must be true. But this security prevents us from confronting existential uncertainties and the limitations of our perspectives. Kierkegaard argued that the crowd creates an illusion of unanimity that makes it difficult for individuals to express genuine beliefs. A crowd in its very concept is the untruth, because it renders the individual completely impenitent and irresponsible. It offers false comfort that keeps us from embracing life's challenges and from self-examination. Against this tyranny of the crowd, Kierkegaard championed the single individual, a category that each of us must inhabit. The crowd is composed of individuals. It must therefore be in every man's power to become what he is, an individual. From becoming an individual, no one at all, is excluded, except he who excludes himself by becoming a crowd. Becoming an individual demands courage. Kierkegaard noted how people shudder at becoming a personality, fearing exposure, judgment, and vulnerability. So they hide in the crowd, becoming abstractions without distinct features. This is where Kierkegaard's most profound insight appears. The longing for solitude is a sign that there still is spirit in a person, and is the measure of what spirit there is. In our age that treats solitude as punishment or something to avoid, Kierkegaard insists it is the birthplace of authentic selfhood. The thinker, poet, or religious person will never be popular, he observed, not because they are difficult, but because authentic self-reflection requires quiet and prolonged working with oneself and intimate knowledge of oneself, as well as a certain isolation. Kierkegaard lamented how many take their values from the very loud talk of the crowd, rather than by each individual going alone into his secret closet to commune quietly with himself. Something he considered the root of our unhappiness. Like lettuce eaten before its heart develops, we consume ourselves through noise and busyness before discovering our essential core. His own life was testimony. Engaged to Regina Olsen, he broke the engagement after a year, aware that his calling required solitude. Regina stirred powerful passions and artistic gifts in him, but Kierkegaard realized he was not meant to be a husband, but rather the thinker who must remain alone with his anxieties and his relationship with the divine. Their silent, platonic meetings thereafter exemplified a love wilder than fully consummated erotic love, a testament to the complex relationship between solitude and passion. Before continuing, if you are finding this exploration valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button, activate the notifications bell, and give this video a like so you won't miss any of our deep dives into philosophy and authentic living. Kierkegaard's reflections on anxiety reveal it not as a disease to be cured, but freedom's gift. In the concept of anxiety, he calls it the dizziness of freedom. Anxiety, unlike fear with a specific object, arises from recognizing infinite possibilities and the burden of choice. It is freedom's actuality as the possibility of possibility. From this uneasy edge of choice, we are pulled toward authenticity. Anxiety awakens self-awareness and responsibility, moving us from unconscious immediacy to reflection. Our fast-paced, hyper-connected world only amplifies this anxiety through social media, economic uncertainty, and global crises. Kierkegaard would urge us not to avoid anxiety, but to embrace it as an opportunity for growth. He described 3 stages of existence: the aesthetic, characterized by pleasure-seeking and immediate gratification; the ethical, marked by moral duty and social responsibility; and the religious, the highest stage involving a paradoxical leap of faith, a passionate commitment that transcends reason. This leap of faith is often misunderstood. Kierkegaard insists, faith begins precisely where thinking leaves off. It is not blind belief, but the courageous choice to passionately commit amid uncertainty. He examines Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac as an example of faith transcending ethical norms in response to a higher calling. Faith is precisely the contradiction between the infinite passion of the individual's inwardness and objective uncertainty. Without risk, there can be no faith. Perhaps Kierkegaard's most poignant insight into solitude and authenticity lies in his concept of despair, the sickness unto death. The greatest hazard of all, losing one's self, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. This spiritual death comes from living inauthentically, from losing ourselves in the crowd. The cure is not more social connections or distractions, but facing ourselves courageously in solitude and choosing authenticity. His insights could not be more relevant today as algorithms shape our views. Social media simulates connection while deepening isolation, and the crowd exerts immense pressure to conform. Kierkegaard's emphasis on individual subjectivity challenges us to examine our values and beliefs critically, rather than adopting manufactured consensus. In this noisy world, solitude becomes an act of rebellion, the radical turning off of devices, the embracing of silence, the encounter with our souls. I have only one confidant, and that is the silence of night, Kierkegaard said, reminding us that authentic existence demands the courage to stand alone, face uncertainty, and prioritize authenticity over acceptance. He chose no grand doctrine but this simple legacy: to be the individual. Had I to carve an inscription on my tombstone, I would ask for none other than the individual. The path of solitude is not isolation, but inward depth that enables genuine relationships. Above all, do not forget your duty to love yourself, he urged, and do not let separation diminish your sense of self-worth. As you hear these words, consider your relationship with the crowd and with solitude. The crowd offers false security, but at the cost of your true self. Solitude offers freedom and uncertainty, but it births authenticity. Remember Kierkegaard's call. What matters is to find my purpose, to find a truth that is truth for me, the idea for which I am willing to live and die. That truth, your authentic self, awaits in the solitude you may fear but so desperately need. Run from the crowd. Embrace the blessing of solitude. Discover the freedom and fullness of becoming unmistakably, courageously yourself. The crowd will always be there, ready to tell us who to be, what to think, how to live. But the single individual, that precious category that Kierkegaard championed, lives in the quiet spaces between the noise, in the solitude where the soul finally has room to breathe. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications so this journey toward authentic existence continues with you. And don't forget to like if this message resonated. In our age of artificial togetherness and manufactured consensus, Kierkegaard's voice calls us back to something essential. The courage to stand alone, to think for ourselves, to become authentic individuals rather than mere functions of the crowd. Solitude isn't punishment. It's where we discover who we truly are beneath all the masks and roles we play. Silence is the essence of inwardness, of the inner life. In that silence, in that solitude, we find not emptiness but fullness, the fullness of becoming ourselves. The choice, as always with Kierkegaard, is ours. We can continue to lose ourselves in the comfortable noise of the crowd, or we can find the courage to run from it. Not into isolation, but into the blessed solitude where authentic selfhood is born.